Father God, I thank you for another night to get together and go about the business of the NAACP and meet the candidates tonight. Father God, please let the candidates give us to the best of their ability what they're about so we can vote accordingly. I thank you together again for us to be able to come together and live in this country. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Once again, I wanna thank everybody for taking out. I know everybody got a busy schedule, but I just want to thank everybody for coming on our membership meet the candidate night tonight. And I am so appreciate that all three candidates could come on. That's a good thing. So we got three Board of Education candidates tonight that is with us, and they have no competition. That's strange. You know, I don't know. Iris is the longest one that been on the board. This is the first time you didn't have any competition, right?
I don't know. It doesn't happen often. Let me put it that way.
I know it don't. Right.
I
Okay.
would like to see more people show an active interest because there's a
Yes.
need for people to be willing. So,
Okay. So this is how our meeting will go, and Wayne and Lisa and Iris know that we let our candidates present 3 minutes. You know, they will present to us what they want to talk about for 3 minutes. And then after that, we'll have our moderator will take over, Gamma Singer. Since she have made such a marvelous presentation when she moderate, so she will be moderating tonight for our Meet the Candidate night. So okay, Gamma, it's yours.
Well, we can start off with who wants to start off? Iris, old timer, you can start
yeah,
off, okay?
that sounds fine. I am the old timer on the board. I've had actually 21 years on the school board.
Oh.
And it has been, for the most part, a really wonderful and growing experience for me personally. This year, well, I guess it goes without saying, but has been the most difficult year of all of the years I've spent in the school. I see some hope in the future. I see more students coming back, and I'm very excited and glad for that to be happening. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about my experience as a board member. When I joined the board, Carolyn Coleman was the president of the board. And I have always felt extremely fortunate to have her as a mentor, because I think there are many people, myself included to a certain extent, who didn't truly understand what the responsibilities were of a school board member. And she was very clear about what those responsibilities were. And she taught me, I believe she taught me very well. So when I go as a board member, when I go into a meeting, I find it, there are certain characteristics that I take to heart. One is that I respect all of my fellow board members. This is a collaborative effort. All 9 board members have the same equal authority. There is no one on that board who has more authority than any other. So I go in with a great deal of respect for their willingness to be there. And I also really seriously take the opportunity to find consensus among board members. I think that we need to have agreement going forward on whatever the issues are. So I go to the meetings prepared, but I also really invite and welcome the opinions and listen to the opinions of my fellow board members. Because I think to have a successful outcome, we have to find a place of agreement. So it's worked well all of my years on the board. And I continue to really look forward to being a part of it. Many people will say to me, it's a thankless job, and comments along those lines, but I have never felt that way. I have always been enthusiastic and looking forward to being there. I also have to say that I show up consistently over 21 years. My record is really good. I show up on time, and actually I show up a little early so that I'm ready at 5:30 to begin the meeting. I don't ever presume to think that I know the answer, because really it is set up as a group because we need to formulate the answer together. I certainly make my contributions, and I don't always agree with what other people say, but it's really important for us to listen to each other. And I think I help that process along very much. So I would like to do another 3 years, I think particularly because of the situation we're in right now. And I do hold out hope. And I hope as we go forward with this discussion, we can talk about what's coming up at the school district. We pretty much know how it's been, but I'm looking forward to the changes and the growth that we're planning. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wayne?
Yes, thank you so much for having this forum, Mrs. Bruce and the NAACP. Most appreciative of having this forum. If you hear any background noise, I will apologize now because I'm at my daughter's track meet and multitasking as we board members like to do. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Wayne Story. I'm a 1991 graduate of Ellenville. I've raised 2 children in this district. My oldest daughter is now in her second year, going into her junior year of college. And my younger daughter is a freshman, going to be a sophomore in high school. And I'm really proud that my kids have had the opportunity to go to the school that gave me so much growing up. I had a lot of opportunities in Ellenville, between athletic, academics, drama. I played 3 sports. I graduated the top half of my class. And I just feel that it's a great community to live in. And the reason I enjoy being a school board member is because I like giving back to the community that gave me a lot. My background, I'm the 3rd most senior school board member, just below Reverend Collins and Iris, which is really hard to think about because it seems like just yesterday that I was elected for my first term. So, as Iris said, Mrs. Coleman taught us a lot about being a school board member and what it meant and what it should be. We don't micromanage. We set budgets, we evaluate the superintendent, and we hire people to micromanage because that's not our job. During this time of COVID, I'm extremely proud to be a school board member because I think the 3 candidates that are up for re-election, you need knowledge, you need a little experience, and you need people that care. And all 3 of us do that. We're going into contract negotiations, reopening school at a different level. And I really think that a little experience is what's needed. And you won't find a better school board than Ellenville School Board. And I speak for all 9 of us when I say that. There are many school boards that are really, they look up to us because of how we conduct business. We are able to disagree, but not be disagreeable. We are able to, we may not always agree, and we don't, but we always understand the collective wisdom of the board and go with that decision, whatever it may be. And I'm really proud to be a part of that. I'm really proud to live in Ellenville. And, I'm really proud that my children attend the same school that I attended. I think it's important. And, that's really all I have. I'm really happy to be a part of the school board. I think we do a lot of good things. As Iris said, I hear a lot that it's a thankless job. It is most certainly not a thankless job. Every single time you see a graduate walking across the stage that nobody gave a chance to, and they graduate, that's a big smile on your face. And that means that it's not thankless. There may not be a monetary, you know, involvement in it, but it certainly is not thankless. It is one of the most important things that I've ever done in my entire life, with the exception of raise my children. And I'm more than happy, you know, with my past presidency of the nursery school, at Jacobs, the Little League. This is the most important, because this is about children's futures and their lives. And you need people that really care. And I feel that we have a school board, all of us, we may disagree, but we all care about kids, the community, and our staff. And I think that's what it's about. Thank you
Okay.
so much for your consideration.
Okay, thank you, Wayne.
Thank
I guess we talked to the baby of the group since these are the old timers. So Lisa, baby.
I'll take that all day long. But, I think I'm just finishing up my third year, so my first term. Geneva came in after me, so she's truly the baby of the gang.
Baby.
But my name is Lisa Ramirez. I did not grow up in Ellenville. I grew up in kind of Yonkers, White Plains, Mamaroneck, down in that area, and then spent a lot of time in Orange County. But I have been in Ellenville. Well, I live over in Sullivan County, in Summitville. So about 25 years. My daughter, Bella, has attended Ellenville since kindergarten. And I'm really proud of the fact that her dad and I were able to keep her in one for her whole education until graduation. I moved a lot, went to a lot of different schools, and it was hard for me. So we committed to Ellenville, and every year I'm just so grateful that we made that decision and that she attended Ellenville. I will say that being on the board has been a really fulfilling experience for me. I spend a lot of time around schools. I work for Capital Region BOCES, and I do communications for districts. I work on websites and Facebook pages and crisis communications. So I go into a lot of different districts, and I see a lot of different school boards at work. And as Wayne said and Iris said, I think Ellenville has one of the strongest school boards that I've ever seen at work. And I observed them for a long time before I did become a board member. And it's just a really functional, cohesive board. We're strong because we have a lot of different type of people on the board. There's a nice different age groups, different experiences come to the board, different cultures, people that have been here for generations and people that are new to the area, people with little kids, people with grandkids, and all those, and different political viewpoints as well, from, across the whole modern political spectrum right now, I think. And all those together, I think we represent the community really well and have some robust, thoughtful conversations. As my colleague said, there are times when everything isn't 100% aligned, but at the core of every discussion and every decision is what is going to serve the students of the district. And I can say with 100% sincerity and confidence that everyone's motive on that board is pure, and that's what they're thinking about. I'm proud of some of this. This year, it has been a really difficult one for education and for everybody in no matter what industry you're in, whatever life you're leading. The COVID-19 pandemic has been devastating and made everything hard. And I think Ellenville is got through it pretty well, you know, and I think that commitment to that everybody from the superintendent to the board to the staff to the community, it just has so much commitment to our students and has such sincere love for them that I think we're coming through it. I think the next year will be difficult too, but I'm not a lot of work, and it's going to be really, really hard, but I think I believe that we'll recover and be stronger at the end of it. I think did I talk for 3 minutes yet?
No, that's
I
fine.
forgot what I have, but
That's
you know,
fine, Lisa.
I'm so glad I'm on the board. I love it. I love the district. I love the kids. I love my colleagues, and I cannot say that I show up on time the way that Iris does. I'm usually the last one under fire because I'm hustling from Sullivan County on a Tuesday night, but I'm always there, and I do work to give it 100% when I'm there.
Thank you, Lisa. You know, we all know that you guys are running unopposed, and so you know, we accept that. So I would like to, as Iris said, make this more about what's upcoming and what the board actually does as an informational program to the community. And we will get this out on Facebook and our other areas, you know, to let the community know what's happening with our board. And sometimes we have to face it, the community is just not involved and just does not, you know, they're doing it over there and it's like separate from their lives, and they don't really know how hard you guys work or what you actually do. So first I'd like to start off with, what do you actually do, Lisa? What do you do? What's your function? What do you do? What's the task
As
of the board?
the task of the board is to be fiscal stewards, keep an eye on the money. We're involved in the creation of the budget. We set the policies of the district, which you know, really sets a lot of the tone and the experience of our students and staff. So many things go back to policy. I'm losing the word when we assess the superintendent. You know, we
Evaluation.
Evaluation of the superintendent, and
What's the
you know,
process with hiring?
hiring a superintendent or hiring
No,
a
hiring teachers, staff.
well,
So-
yeah, go ahead, Wayne.
So when we hire teachers and staff, there's a hiring committee. So that committee is built of staff members, administrators, and it's a grueling procedure. So if there's 5 or 6 candidates that are looking for the position, they sit in front of probably 9 to 12 people on a committee, and they have to answer questions. And once those questions are answered, a recommendation or two will go to the superintendent, and she'll meet with those individuals, and she will, and this is for a teacher, she will then bring them to the Board of Education to be approved. So we will never meet with a teacher to be hired or a security guard or people like that. You know, those kind of positions. We get their resumes, we get their references, reference checks, and then we have a choice to approve them or not approve them. When you hire administrators, that's where we come in, because we actually interview administrators, but we do not interview teachers or clerical people, security, anyone that's a day-to-day SRP or ETSRPA member. We do not interview. We interview administrators and superintendents.
Okay, well, I know that I looked on that list, and I at the last school board meeting, you all mentioned so many teachers retiring. My God, it looked like about 20 openings, for
That's a large list this year, Gammy.
and somebody brought up the thing that a lot of experienced teachers are going, and that on one hand it's a good thing we're getting some new blood in, and all of the energy, but there is something to be said for having mature teachers on the staff too. But I would think this task this year in the hiring is going to be pretty monumental. Not everyone wants to come to Ellenville, number one. And number two, we really need good teachers because, well, there's something I want to get into later. Um, but we'll just talk about the hiring now, and what's that is going to entail. So I just wondered, and I'm glad you brought it up, that you at least see their resumes before the hiring, because some of the meetings that I've been at, and actually I'm thankful for the Zoom meetings in that respect, because I've attended a lot of the Zoom meetings and watched the board and bothered the um, media staff because they were recording you from a distance and I couldn't see the people and didn't know who was talking or whatever. So I made them correct that and complain. So they're going in a little closer, because I think they would just set up the camera before and then leave. But now it looks like somebody is actually behind the camera. So I'm glad that is. But in this process, I hope there's more really not just total acceptance of all the choices. I mean, not to be a contrarian, but that you look closely at the choices because they'll be there a long time, especially, if they're younger. And to consider not just a teacher and their respective classes, but what they can give in other areas too, you know, to help the whole school community in terms of clubs. And, I mentioned that we might need, when there is hiring, that you might look to somebody who could also teach Black history, who might teach, I don't know, women's history, whatever, and you begin to get back some of the courses that round out a student's um, education. So, in terms of that, Iris, do you have anything to say about the hiring?
Yes, actually, I do. There are quite a few teachers that are retiring this year. We also had to lay off some teachers last year, and all of those teachers are being recalled. And they're also adding some staff. In addition to the people that used to be there, we're also adding staff.
Right.
The hiring process, to me, I have a great regard for it, because I believe that when you live in a small community, it can get complicated and at least appear unfair. So somewhere along the way in my years on the board, there was a serious discussion about the process and procedure for hiring. And we have established very clearly that, as Wayne said, the staff goes through that process, and then the superintendent makes a recommendation to us of who she believes should fill that position. And we have available to us their resume and all their information, which includes extracurricular activities they could teach. It includes questions about areas that they're particularly interested in. So it's a full picture of a person. It isn't just, did you graduate with this certification for teaching whatever you're applying for? It's a much more well-rounded application. And then the superintendent makes a recommendation, which we can either approve or disapprove. And as Wayne also pointed out, we actually interview the administration. We have direct, one-on-one kind of interview with them and then decide, who will get the position. I'd also want to say that we're adding a few new classes for next year. Let me see if I can find my note about that. So we're adding these are all high school classes, and we're adding a web design class that I believe is part of the Syracuse University program. It's an advanced class because we all know web design and working with computers is really a big part of the future of our students. There's an art portfolio class that's going to be added, which I'm always in favor of enhancing the arts. I'm a big sports fan, but I think arts deserve at least as much time and attention. So there's an art portfolio class being established for high school, and I suspect it's senior. I'm not exactly sure the specifics, to create a portfolio if they are seriously interested in pursuing art as a career. So they'll have a professional portfolio to show their work to the schools that they're interested in. And then the third course that's being developed, and I'm especially interested in seeing the curriculum and the textbooks, which we're inviting the teacher to make a presentation when all that's put together. But a number of months ago, we were presented with the idea of having a course about the history of people of color in this country, in America. So a course is being developed, and they're calling it The American Experience for People of Color and Women. And I believe it's going to be a full year course, which is unusual for the extra subject. And like I said, they're going to present to us what they're going to be teaching and the textbooks, which also is part of our responsibility. We have to approve all the textbooks that are used in the school district. So those are some of the new things happening that we're all pretty excited about, and so it gives, I know for me, it gives me something to look forward to next year. Because as I said, this year it was interesting, Gammy, that you pointed out that people don't really see what goes on in the school, and the grueling task of keeping things organized this year was phenomenal. It really was phenomenal. The dedication that I saw in the administrators and the teachers and the superintendent was beyond anything I could ever have imagined. But most people don't get to see that. So, but that's what I'd like. That's what I wanted to add. We're getting more teachers, new teachers, replacing the teachers we had to get rid of, and we're also adding courses.
Okay, Maud.
I just want to say that before I ask this question, that we do have some peoples on that might want to ask question too. Might want to ask.
Yeah, I'm
okay.
going to allow for
But
that.
my question is, will you be hiring? I got the budget book, but I just got it one day this week, and I haven't went through it. But will you be hiring a social worker? Will you have social workers in the school?
Yes.
Because they are much needed. So
yes.
you will.
Yes, we are. Yeah.
Yes.
Two, I think. Two, right?
I think so. I'm looking on my list here because there's so many people here.
I was talking to Lisa about it. I think there are two, and there's a psychologist or
He's a
two
social
psychologists.
worker, school counselor.
Okay.
Going down the list, recalling a psychologist, meaning a psychologist will come back that was laid off. School social worker in the elementary school, school social worker in the elementary school for attendance, So there's quite a few along those lines.
Um,
I am,
Iris,
go
I
ahead.
got one more question. Iris, can you
Yeah.
repeat the studies that you courses that will be coming up under the Black History for women's, can you
The
repeat?
name of the course?
Yes, can you?
Yes. They're titling it The American Experience for People of Color and Women.
Okay,
And that's being offered through the Social Studies Department.
okay.
It's an elective.
If you recall, Maud, that's the one we discussed, and we're going to meet Miss Althouse. Yeah,
Yeah, what's his,
Mr. Althouse, Phil
Mr.
Althouse.
House, right? Okay,
yeah.
okay.
I have two more areas I wanted to discuss, and then I'll open it to all the other people. One of them, it ties in with the hiring and everything. Okay, I know how hard the teachers work. I know the school board is very dedicated, but year after year after year after year, the what do they call it? The report card for Ellenville School District is not good. It's not good. And somehow, everyone must begin to face that and do something about it. I know one of the, I don't know, excuses or reasons are the poverty level in the community. But I also know that in various areas of the country, New York City gives us one example, what they're doing in Harlem. There are exceptions. And I think at some time, there should be set aside monies to study, to learn what one community, one school district, whatever is doing in the face of all sorts of hardship, to boost their scores and their teachers, their students' performances, and begin to emulate it. I mean, we can't just fix it by small measures. And we've got to take the whole thing and look at the whole package and see what can be done to improve Ellenville and Ellenville schools. And I think it can be done, but you got to look at the whole problem, and you've got to set aside money for it, and you've got to be interested in doing it. I understand that people are sincere and dedicated, but sincerity and dedication only goes so far. There's work that has to be put into it. And I wonder if any of you can even see or picture that as a possibility, as something to be investigated and looked after. We're going to have this influx of new teachers with energy and zeal, hopefully, and that, maybe something can happen, that we really begin to examine other schools and see what they're doing and try to do something. And maybe it's revolutionary, and maybe it's just going back to old ways of doing things, anything, whatever is working, you know. I think we should try to do that and not make excuses year after year for what the community is, what the apathy is out there, whatever, because other people have done it, and why can't we? Does anybody have any response? Yes, Wayne.
Yes, I do. I think that you're 100% correct. And every year we have a board retreat where the Board of Education gets together with the administrators. And this is usually a very hot topic. And although you're correct, our students are only with our teachers for 6 or 7 hours a day. we have to find a way to get parents involved. Education has to start and end at home. So students have to come to school. If they're missing 40, 50, 80 days of school, there's no way they can pass tests. There's no way they can learn. And if they're not doing their homework at night and getting a good night's sleep, then they're also in the same, they're going to wake up tired and have a difficult time the next day. So we have to find a way, and I don't know the answer. We have to find a way to get parents involved. Unfortunately, we have so many students that miss so many days of school. And I believe on our hiring list is a truancy officer for the elementary school to help Mr. Younger get more kids in school, to go door to door. We do that. Mr. Pabone, Mrs. White, when she was the assistant principal, Mr. Younger, they go door to door and find out why kids are not coming to school. We have to get parents involved. We have to have parents understanding why it's so important for their kids to be in school. Teachers only have a certain amount of time during the course of their day, and they're not, they can work miracles to a certain extent. After that, parents have to be accountable as well. And I hate to be so blunt about it, but it's just a fact. I grew up with a single mother. If my homework wasn't done, I got in a lot of trouble. If I didn't go to school, I got in a lot of trouble. There was no messing around, and I grew up in poverty in Ellenville with a single parent. And I turned out really, really well. That's because my parent was involved. My grandmother was involved. Mrs. Bruce was involved. When the community is involved and parents are involved, we can really do great things. And without that involvement, we're just going to be stuck here forever. And I hate to be, that person, but that's just the reality. Parents have to wake their children up in the morning, give them a good breakfast, come to school.
Wayne, I agree
Sure.
totally with you, but do you know those same things happen in Harlem? The same problems that you're talking about, and somehow they conquered it. Somehow they found the answer. Somehow they did it. So if they can do it, I think we could do it too.
I think we can absolutely do it. I think we need to speak with those people, the superintendents and the principals, to see how they do it.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we have to speak with them, because I don't, we've been trying to do parent engagement nights for my 12 years on the school board. We've been trying to do these things, and unfortunately parents are just disengaged, and we have to find a way to engage them, because when they're engaged, when a parent's engaged and in the system and in their child's education, the child's going to succeed. They're going to. We have great teachers, we have great administration, we have a great community that's always behind a student.
I think there's some examples in Chicago too.
Well, I think
Well, I have a question.
Iris,
Yes. I'd like to know what specific schools you're talking about. I would like to know, the names of them so that we can bring them to the superintendent and have her take a look. And I personally would like to look also. I imagine there's information online about them, but do you know specific names of specific schools?
I'm so bad with remembering names of things. I have to look them up. Maud knows I can't remember. I can't remember.
So I'm
anybody's
asking you a favor then.
But-
Would you find the names and
Absolutely,
then
but I'm sure I don't know what the school in Harlem is called, but actually it's kind of famous now. And like I said, there's some
Is it-
schools
I
in
can-
Chicago and Denver that are exemplary. Maud?
My daughter worked in the education system in New York, so I can ask her the particular school. We can ask her about the schools.
that would be
I'm
great.
also interested in knowing if, Tammy, do you know what kind of programs they offer? That makes them so exceptional? I'm questioning you. You're supposed to- Sorry.
No, I don't think they're all alike. I think each of them was driven by the principals or superintendents of their district. Sometimes it's personality and
Yeah.
and leadership that
Yes.
make changes.
Sure.
But
What
I will
about,
surely
I
get
think
that
I,
list to you or list to Lisa, and you know,
That would be
I'll
good.
try to come up with as many
Thank you.
yes,
places in the country where things are being revolutionized and
Yes.
kids are succeeding,
Yeah.
even in poor places.
I,
Anybody else have a comment? Lisa?
I, if I, I think what is working in places is a lot of creativity and taking a fresh look at how to bring people together. I don't believe that parents aren't involved because they are just apathetic or disengaged or don't care. I think that schools, some schools are really finding success by just redoing how they reach people. Even just Mrs. Bruce mentioned the asset that technology has shown to be in districts, even this year, where parent teacher conferences have been over Zoom meetings. For years, where we've heard people be like, we can't get parents to come in, they're not showing up for conferences. Lo and behold, when you have them over Zoom, all of a sudden attendance rates are really improving because parents can attend. We going to where they are and making that option of, instead of having to get to the school building after work or take a night off or take a day off, you can attend from your smartphone or your lunch break and meet with your child's teacher. And just looking at things in new ways to connect the community and parents and organizations to schools that go beyond just how we've been doing it for when I grew up or when all of us grew up. A lot of things are different than when I went to school and only one parent was working, or we just have to really retool things and be willing to approach it from different ways. I
And
think
willing to be able to try and fail and then try again. It's like everything,
I think we're
Until you
also
find
learning a lot about trauma and what kids are bringing into school with them in the morning. And trauma, poverty is trauma.
yeah.
And schools, we have buildings full of really smart people that I think we are beginning to address some of those things in the ways that students are disciplined in school, or in the way, even just as simple as, the idea of feeding kids breakfast. There was resistance to that for a long time because, that's not the school's job. We're supposed to be reading, writing, arithmetic. Why are we giving kids breakfast? Why are we doing it? But, kids, that's what they need. It's part of our job to make sure they have what they need in order to access the opportunities that school can give them. And if a kid comes hungry, then we have to help them. We have to give them breakfast. If a parent can't get to a teacher conference because they work evenings, then we need to be flexible and let them, make it possible for them to attend with a smartphone. I just think it's really going to take a lot of willingness to think differently.
Yeah.
And that's hard. It sounds really simple. Like, oh, we just got, we got to be creative. It's
And
a lot of
sometimes,
will, a lot of work, and a lot of doing things differently is a mountain to climb,
yeah.
But I think it's
Um,
doable. And I think the schools that you're mentioning that have had those successes have had some great leadership and some across their communities that have made things happen.
right. And sometimes it's being tough with parents too. Sometimes you got to be tough with parents, just like with kids. Set rules and standards and whatever, and expect them to live up to it. I know that's what happened in Harlem. I know they were pretty tough on parents, kicked them in their whatever. I got one more thing, which segues from what we were talking about, and then I'll open it up to everybody else, okay? Tamara and William and everybody else, and Ann. One more thing is the extended day program. And what is happening there? What's supposed to happen? And on the budget, we've got I forgot the name. Um, I guess I don't know if it's a company that's taking over. You got $28,000 dedicated to that. I don't know if it's a company that's going to do something. And there's another thing that's called help or something that is part of the extended day. What's that all about? And what are we going to get out of that? I know it's supposed to be a makeup attempt for this past year, which was a bomb. Iris, do you have any knowledge?
Well, I don't have all the details of that. I don't recall all of the details of that, but we do have to, we are going to be providing additional help in addition to what we have done in the past because of the circumstances that we found ourselves in this year. So extended day is after school, I believe, and that'll be in addition to AIS, which is during the school day. And that's
Right,
about as much
they have the
information.
homework club and they have this help thing, and then they have, oh, I wrote the name down, but it sounds like it's a company.
I don't know anything about it.
So
I didn't see that.
it's not a
Go ahead.
company. It's our staff. It's the school staff members.
Oh.
Extended day is after school, and it is additional support for students with reading, writing, arithmetic, whatever it may be. It's like a homework club after school to help kids out.
They have homework club listed, but
right,
there is
so-
a budget item.
Let me go see if I can find my budget and look it up for you.
I'm not sure what the help thing is, but extended day is kids getting extended help after school.
What page is that on, Gammon?
I don't have my book with me.
Oh, you don't have your book. Oh,
I have the book, but it's not.
right where you at now.
Okay. Well,
I got to
okay.
look for that.
We can skip that. And Anne, do you have any comments or questions you'd like to ask?
You know, and I'm sorry if this is a dumb question, but I
No
know with
question is a dumb question.
I know with the CFE lawsuit, finally, after years and years and
yeah.
years of fighting, right? Communities, schools are going to finally get the money that they've needed, or at least some of the money that they've needed for years. So has Ellenville District started to think about what it's going to do with that money that kind of makes up for some things that they haven't been able to do, or do something that's new and different that they've been needing? That's my question.
Well, sure. We're bringing in a lot of new positions that haven't been here before. Psychologists. Iris had the list. I don't have it in front of me. I'm sorry, but there's a truancy officer to help with attendance in the elementary school. There are school psychologists coming in. Really just trying to add some programs. So we're starting. That's where we're starting. We'll see what the need is after that. And see. I would assume that through a survey that goes out on Facebook, or through the mail, ask parents.
Somebody
In
needs
addition-
to turn their.
But Wayne, my question is, the school haven't received that money yet, right? Have the
The
school
rescue.
received that money?
So I don't believe we received it yet. It's in next year's budget.
Oh, okay.
That was called, I believe it was called Foundation Aid, that we were really cut hard on over the last, 10 years or so.
Yes, yes.
And what, they're slowly bringing that Foundation Aid back in. you know,
Yeah.
and a lot of times what we have to realize is when the state gives you money, they tell you what you can and cannot spend it on a lot of times. So
Mm.
I don't think that there's been any real directive as to where that money can be spent yet. Hopefully it's on education, curriculum, you know, and things like that, because that's what's needed here. And you know, support for students with emotional problems, especially during COVID. You know, kids are having a hard time.
Yes.
They're having a hard time. They haven't seen their peers in a year and a half. So
Okay,
hopefully some of that money is earmarked towards that.
the name of the program is Another Way, and there's another
Oh.
category for help. And
Another
there's the
way
other thing of
is,
the
I
What
think,
age is it?
homework club. I don't know. I'm not looking at it, but
What,
I'm
you
just
know
telling
what
you what it
page?
is. And then some is 28,000.
Yeah,
Oh.
another ways of program we've had here for I think 15 years at least, I believe.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. William, anything you want to ask?
Yeah, hi, everyone. Happy Friday. Yeah, well, one is questions.
You need to turn your mic up.
I think it's already up. Good. Can you hear me?
Now we can.
No. Well, according to this, it's working.
Yeah, now it is.
Now it is. Yeah. I think that has happened before with other Zoom meetings. Somebody starts out low and all of a sudden it goes up by itself.
Oh,
So that's probably what happened. Well, the
oops.
question about the
Wayne
parents,
hit the dust.
No, I have my ear to the microphone.
Okay. I'm sorry to interrupt, William. Go
I did
ahead.
not go down.
I'm sorry, William. Go ahead.
I'm glad he cleared that up. Okay. Yeah, one question about the parents, I think that's been answered. I was thinking about that. I have heard about the lack of participation by the parents. I know it could be unreasonable, I guess, to ask the Board of Education to extend some sort of help to these parents, as the same as they're extending help to the students who go hungry. I don't know what it could be, but something has to be done to get these parents involved. And also, but like somebody said, it's about the basic reading, writing, arithmetic. I understand that, but this is 2021 now. Back when I was going to school, yeah, that it was reading, writing, arithmetic. But things have changed so much, and parents are having a hard time, and the kids are suffering. So, I'll just throw that out. But the other thing I was thinking about is, do you have policemen in your Roman halls or whatever?
School resource officer.
Frank.
We did have a school resource officer for a few years, and that's what they're called in a school setting. It's a police officer who whose assignment is to be in the school. We don't have a school resource officer now.
Is that a temporary thing, or you plan to get another one?
There are no plans that I know of to get another one. We have a full security staff. There are people on staff that are in the school every day, and they provide the security. And then, and they provide the security. As far as I know, we have no plans of hiring a school resource officer.
All right.
So Iris, I'm sorry, William, can I just dovetail off that for a second? So the school resource officer was a state
Yes.
program several years ago.
Yes, it was. Yes.
The state did away with the program, and unfortunately, because of budgetary constraints, we lost that individual. Leroy Seals was the school resource officer, and it is much needed, especially in Ellenville. Our students felt,
but it's needed.
our students, Our
It's
students felt
needed.
so comfortable speaking to this individual, going to him with problems at home, and it was just someone for them to speak to, and feel comfortable also with a police officer. So I think it's a huge need in the school district.
No. Wayne, a resource person is not there to discipline the students. That's the teacher's position. That's
Correct.
the teacher's
Correct.
position to discipline the student. And if they can't do it, they need to prefer them to the principal. The resource officer was not there. They was there to keep to make sure that the kids was secured. They was not there as disciplinary officers. And
I know
some of
that.
the teachers use them as that.
Well, I don't know, and I don't know that that's the case, and I hope not. But I'm just saying that the school resource officer that we had in Ellenville, Trooper Seals,
Yeah, he was a good person.
he was he is a great person, and
Right.
this man, this is why the position is so important. But it's got to also be the right person. This man formed a relationship with our students. So when our kids were having a difficult time at home, this was an individual for them to go to and say, I'm having this issue at home. What suggestions do you have? And he really helped them with that.
He might have helped them with that, but that's not the resource officer position. That's not their position.
Resource officer is supposed to be there for security.
That's right.
And we were very fortunate to have Leroy Seals. He added a whole dimension to our district, above and beyond being a resource officer. We were very fortunate, but there are no plans that I know of to include a resource officer in the district now.
So
I'm going to talk about one thing that is coming up, and I just read about it. The hammer is going to hit. There was a case, 2 cases years ago, 2 teachers and rape, and now the district has to pay.
Right.
Gammy, can I interrupt you for a minute, please? Mm-hmm. This right now is all in litigation, so that
I understand
members,
we
cannot discuss it.
They can't talk about it.
You can say whatever you'd like to, but the 3 of us are.
I'm sorry. Understood that it's over with now, and that the Ellenville is facing the chart. Has to pay.
That's not true. It's in litigation, and that's all I can say to you now. I'm sorry.
They can't speak about it. Yeah,
no, I don't want you to do anything that you're not supposed to do. It was just it's just my understanding that was what was happening, and I think I read it. I think I read it in the article.
The Shawangunk Journal put an article on the front page of their paper,
and that's not
but
true.
We cannot comment on it right now.
Okay, but it's not true that it's been decided. Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is it's in litigation, and so we can't comment.
Okay.
Well, Gammy, we have some guests on. Maybe they won't have a question or have something to say. We got Francis. That? Francis is on, and Finn is on.
Heard? Can I be heard? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
I thought you stepped out.
No, well, things got mixed up for a while on my computer. I don't know. I was going to ask, this new technology, this new methodology, the remote learning and all. I mean, are you planning to, to work on this and develop this more? Because I can see how it has a great potential to be utilized in things like in and out of school suspension. And I think there should probably be developed in the summers where there is no definitive format, how this could be an occasion to develop this method of things. Because actually, I think it's going to actually end up being the future in many cases of higher education. If you want to have a free higher education, I think it's going to take a form such as this, if it's going to be, free. And I'm thinking, are you planning in any way to work on this and develop this and continue its to build upon it? Because I'm concerned that I worry about a kind of Ludditism that people are afraid it may put them out of business. Like the clerics who are afraid that people, reading the Bible on their own, they wanted to stop the printing, a lot of the printing going on. People were getting burned at the stake for printing Bibles and so forth. I think, I'm just thinking, is there any plan to, go ahead and affirmatively develop this system of things, this methodology, this technology?
So would you like me to answer that?
Yeah.
So currently, yes, there has been online classes going on. Right at the moment, we are trying to get students back into school. There is no specific discussion that I know of right now to pursue online education, but I suspect that because we finally were thrown into it, that at some future date, I would imagine the school will look at other uses that can be valuable going forward. But right now, Francis, we're just trying to get the kids back to school. I know this has always been an idea of yours to have online schooling, and I suppose for some students it was a successful endeavor. My understanding is that for most students it was not. But that doesn't mean that there isn't something good to gain from it. And perhaps in the future, we'll take a look at that.
Some sort of summer school development.
I understand what you're saying, Francis.
So may I speak for a minute?
No. Yes, you may. Yes, you may.
As a board member that has a child in school, my daughter's in 9th grade. And I can tell you without a doubt, this has been her most difficult year. Online education is not for a kindergartner, a 1st grader, or a 2nd grader, or a 9th grader. Maybe in college, My older daughter who's in Cortland, she's doing fine in college in online education. Kids need to be in school. They need their peers. They need to learn. They need their teachers face-to-face for one-on-one instruction when it's needed. And I just don't think that, and I'm speaking personally about my child, as well as many other children that I know personally. I know very few people that it's worked for. I think that it has been a huge distraction and a huge setback for many students, unfortunately. Kids need to be in school. They need their one-on-one with their teacher. They're distracted at home. You have a puppy that may have to go outside. You have a television that's on. You have your parents at work. In school, you're in front of your teachers, and they're holding you accountable. Where if you're online with a teacher, as we're on the Zoom call, there's nothing from letting someone get up and do something. Iris got it for 5 minutes before we didn't know she was gone. I'm just saying
for my budget.
No, I know. My personal view, all jokes aside, is that kids need to be in school. It's the best learning technique for most students, especially up through a certain age. I think when you get older, I think it's a great idea for online classes. They've been doing that in college for a long time. I just think that younger students really need to be in school.
What about for in and out of school suspension?
Francis, this is a discussion for the future.
Get going with it.
We're looking at right now. Right now, the focus is getting everybody to come back. I know this has always been a position you've taken for years now of having online learning. And it got a really intense opportunity to show itself this year. And I suppose going forward, there will be discussion of ways to use it. But I don't think any of us are at all ready to have that discussion.
Agreed.
Yeah. Tamara, do you have any comment?
No.
We have another guest, Fan. Finn, maybe he got some comment.
I think, oh, there's Finn. Okay.
Not really. My purpose for being here is mostly to learn about what's going on in Ellenville. I'm new. I've been here for a month. So
Oh,
Oh,
we're just
well,
trying to figure out what's going on and who the people are who are in charge of all these things. Yeah.
One thing, I got one thing, the historic, wonderful thing that happened to our sports team, our soccer team.
right.
Yes.
Right,
Da
yeah.
da da da.
Isn't that
Do you all
great?
know? Are
Yeah,
you all
great.
aware of the
Yes.
board is?
They came to the board, yeah. Yeah, it was great.
Yes, it was wonderful. The first time in the history of Ellenville, da 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 da
Oh.
da da,
It's great.
that they won the state championship,
All right.
a state championship.
Yeah, it was
And the
great.
coach was talking about he went back and looked over the years all the way back to the beginning, and no team had ever won the state championship. So that's a good thing. And that's a good thing our students are doing. You know, they need sports, they
Yeah.
need theater,
Yes.
and
Yes.
music.
Music,
That's
yes.
the creative side of the brain, and the creative side of the brain creates the leaders of our country. And
Yeah.
math and all of those, reading, writing, arithmetic is good, but the creative supports the other side. So, you know, we need those classes too. And let me tell you, in terms of like the learning by TV, if I could get personal for a minute, I was an actor for many, 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 many years. And we used to do, or I did this, a series of learning thing. It was like Sesame Street. It was reading. It takes so much energy to perform these learning things for kids to keep them entertained. And teachers don't have that training. They're not, you know what I mean? So it's a whole different ball game to try to teach through the tube. It's a
Yeah.
whole different experience. And
Yeah.
in person is one thing, but to be behind the camera, you have to put forth so much energy. And how much can a teacher do in teaching 6 classes a day to really, you know? And that's
Right.
part of it. That's part of the key. You know, you can't just present, or you can't just say you've got to exude something, because it's a technique.
Yeah.
And how teachers just are not trained that way. They're trained for the one-on-one, the classroom, and whatever. So, okay, that's enough about me.
You know, Gammy, I wonder if you would like us to talk about when you get your newsletter from the school district, which it might have come today in the mail or tomorrow. There's a new program called the P-TECH program that's starting.
Oh, I know.
in the
Yeah.
school. And that's a big deal for us.
Yeah, talk about it.
So, to begin with, the schools are going to be reconfigured a little differently next year. The 6th grade is going down to the elementary school building. And so elementary now will be kindergarten through
That's
6th.
what I need.
And then there will be no more middle school. It won't be called middle school. It'll be junior, senior high school or
Mhm.
secondary school.
Yeah,
So
I saw that.
7 through 8 will be one school, and the elementary will be another school. There'll be no more middle school. And part of the reason for that is so that we can make room in the parts of the middle school building for this P-TECH Academy. So it's an exciting idea. I actually could I'll read a little bit to you so that I get it right. It's a 6-year program that begins in 9th grade. It's a pathway to careers in science, technology, engineering, and math. It's a way for students to earn an associate's degree or certification in a high-tech field at no cost to them. So it's actually a 6-year program that starts in 9th grade. It's connected to industry partners in the area to align learning with experience in the workplace. And it's going to have, you will have students who graduate from high school and get an associate's degree at Ulster County Community College and can go out into the field to work. And they will already be familiar with the businesses in the area that need that kind of, those kind of employees. So we're really excited about it. It's a school within a school. It has a separate principal and, you know, the administration will be separate. And we have, I think there's a maximum of 25 students to be involved in this. And the sign up for it, I think, finished last week, but we do have 23 students now for the first class starting this September. So we're pretty excited about it. I think it's a great change and it's an opportunity. It's much more hands-on and project oriented. As you were saying, Gammy, about teachers and lecturing. It isn't much lecturing. It's mostly project and hands-on oriented and work experience and that sort of thing. So you might, when you get your newsletter, there's a more comprehensive explanation for it. But I think it's an exciting change for the better for our school district.
There is also on the website a video that you can
Yes.
go into, and it will tell you all about P-TECH.
Right.
And Spinelli is going to be the principal
That's
of
correct.
both.
Of P-TECH.
Yeah, of P-TECH.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now the middle school and high school will be a secondary school. So they'll have
Yeah.
one principal for 7 through 12 for the rest of the students. So that's pretty exciting stuff for us.
Okay. There was one more thing and I'm
Gammy?
done.
This is
Anybody
Ed-
else?
Ed
Ed.
Felton here.
Yeah, Ed.
Hi. Oh, I've been here the whole time. I just turned my camera on a little while ago to make a
The
quick comment.
bathroom.
So sorry to go back to a prior topic, but in terms of technology, the prospect of utilizing remote learning modes brings up serious resource questions, no matter how you look at it. If there are, let's say there's a kid who's got mononucleosis and they're home for 6 weeks and they, if they were to be then linked in for remote learning, then you need a teacher. Because certainly one thing we've learned this past year is that teaching kids in person and remote at the same time is not effective. That's really
Right.
been a nightmare for those teachers who had to do it. It's, you could imagine maybe things that would be possible in the future where kids who are home for whatever reason, maybe there's just a video feed of the classroom that they can actually be able to follow what's being presented in the classroom, but without necessarily the engagement of the teacher. But then that raises questions of equity and access to hardware, because there were Chromebooks who went home, but now they're going back to the district, and there are some families who don't have the hardware to really connect kids like that. But so there, major resource questions come up with any proposal around those things. But it's important to look for the opportunities that do naturally flow from the familiarity that everyone has gained with these forms of digital connectivity, like engaging parents, having the option of remote parent-teacher conferences and things like that. So I think it'll be important moving forward to really pay attention and look for opportunities which don't require resources, but that allow more participation, more engagement, and possibly even, and most importantly, supporting students who need extra support.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Who's that? Who's speaking?
I was gonna ask that a question.
Okay, Finn.
Francis.
Are the
Oh, Francis, sorry.
Do the students have access to like a repeat video in these process? I mean, like I recorded, he'll watch it over again, the class over again, the lessons over again. Is that available in this system? Like I was doing it. I was doing auditing classes in New Paltz at the college, and I find it very good to have a recording of the class that I was able to participate in, and then have a recording to just watch it again and again, and rather than having to take notes, you just have to, you could do it all over and over again. Is that being done in the system the way it's being used in the schools? Is
I,
recording available?
I think so. I think so. Not all of the classes, but I think some of them do.
I was wondering.
It was done this past year where kids could rewatch a lesson if they
Yeah.
needed to. But that was in a case where the way things were this last year.
Yeah. One more thing. The superintendent says, the kids are going back to school, and there was the whole thing about doing a survey about the students getting the shots. And I'm saying, why don't you just set up those people on campus instead of asking if they want it? I understand there was an uptick really since when the students came back in the hybrid situation from March. Well, I guess before that, April. Anyway, they had an uptick of COVID cases, and since they're now doing the shots for the 12 to 15-year-old group and beyond, so they'll be available to kids. Why not just make it available? Why do you need a survey? Just set up dates, or they've opened it for kids to get their shots on campus, but they want to do a survey before to see if the parents will agree to that. As a board and as board members, can you just ask that they just install these, the thing, and have it available for the kids to get shots? Skip the middle stuff.
I might, oops,
Go ahead.
I might not be 100% correct. So, but I believe that some of those surveys were more driven by the departments of health to help figure out where the different COVID offerings would be successful, like where the interest is. Let's get the vaccines there. Where can we set up a clinic? And I those decisions are more from the Department of Health. I know, at Ellenville, we did offer the vaccine and have it on campus, and but the distribution and the availability is all being funneled through health departments, not, the school districts don't get to decide where they're going to administer the vaccine and when.
Okay, I think it was
Yeah,
on the website.
So again, I think those surveys were at the request of health departments.
Okay.
But as it's become more available, that you're seeing more and more clinics and
every place. June is
every place,
busting out
yeah.
all over.
Yeah,
right?
it's great.
In the drugstores.
A lot of the schools in Sullivan County are hosting clinics over the next couple weeks through that health department. So I think we will see the availability and participation continue to go up.
Yeah, I believe Lisa's correct. I know that there's actually, I got one for my daughter because she's now eligible at 15 years old to get a vaccination tomorrow at Ellenville School.
Okay.
So I think that those surveys were kind of requested, as Lisa said, from the county or the government or from an upper agency. And I think Facebook, and I'm glad we have it. It's just the fastest and most convenient way to get messages out to families, because everyone's always on it and it's accessible all the time. So I think that's probably why it happened that way.
Okay. One last thing. The school gets a report card, but we never talk about BOSI. Doesn't BOSI get a report card? Is that program or those programs successful? Does anybody ever oversee them? Or, I mean, I know they're looked at, but you know what I mean? In the same way the academia or academic side of the equation is, I think those schools are just as important and just necessary for them to be successful.
Yeah.
We put the Ellenville School District puts a lot of money into BOCES. I mean,
Amen.
how much of the budget is put into BOCES?
A lot.
What's the outcome? What's their thing? Nobody talks about that. And shouldn't we?
Yes, we should, because that was one and Iris know every time we came to meet the candidate night, my question was, why do BOSES get so much money on the school district? What are they doing? And finally they explained it to me and I kind of understood, what they do, but they do get a big part of the budget. Right, Iris?
Yes, yes, they do get money from the district because they're providing services to the district.
Yes.
And the services predominantly are special
Yes.
services.
Is that the mousetrap, Iris?
Excuse me?
Is that the mousetrap?
Oh,
That's Snap. I don't know. I'm just trying to
I
lighten
can't
it up.
even explain. Because it was me and nothing broke. So that's
Okay.
all.
Okay. Sorry.
That's okay. BOCES does provide a lot of special services, which is great because a school district of Ellenville's size, we cannot always provide for all of the needs of our students, particularly, the special needs students. We do our best and we keep trying to bring more and more students back into the district. But, we all know that there's a wide variety of need, and BOCES specializes in that way. But that's only one part of BOCES. The part of BOCES that I would love to see promoted more is the trades. BOCES in high school, the students have an opportunity for a whole variety of, plumbing and pilot. You can get your pilot's license.
Beauty school.
I mean, it's tremendous, and it's a tremendous opportunity for the students. And we've always talked and tried to get a way to promote that more for students, because, you go through BOCES and you graduate and you're certified to do great work and get a good job. And I know myself personally, I can't find people in this community to do plumbing and electric and all those
That's right. It's
things
hard.
fallen by the wayside, or I don't know where they've gone, but we actually as a board took a trip to BOCES in Ulster County and BOCES in Sullivan County a few years ago, just to see what they were doing. And I was very impressed. And I just wish I had a way, or the school district had a way of encouraging more students to attend, because I think while technology is the wave of the future, trades are also the wave of the future. You never are going to not need an electrician or a car mechanic or whatever that is. So,
but are they accountable to anybody?
I don't know.
Is anybody looking over their shoulder? Are they given any report card?
As far as the students that they teach,
how many succeed, how many drop out,
Actually, I'm not aware of one, but I certainly will ask about that. I'm not aware of that.
So they're separate from our
Well,
school
BOCES is
district.
like
They're
a
like a
cooperative.
subcontractor or whatever.
BOCES is a cooperative of a lot of school districts. Yeah, Ulster County districts all participate in BOCES. They also do things. BOCES provides services like supplies and broadband, and they're a vast program. Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. But as far as their accountability, I'm not exactly sure about how that works. I don't know. I
Or
can't tell you
how,
specifically how
or
that.
how it's tied into us, you know what I mean? That, because we get a report card for all of the academics and stuff, but
Mhm.
our students are going to both these two. You see what I'm saying? I mean,
I kind of
if
do. actually see
if
what
they're
you're saying.
succeeding there, we don't really get credit for it, or you know what I mean?
Well, I guess,
That,
you have certain, let's say, for instance, you have X amount of students who sign up for cosmetology.
Yes.
So
yeah,
at the end of those programs, how many students actually graduate and how
yeah,
many are not? Is that what you mean? That sort of
yeah.
accountability? That I actually, I'm not familiar, maybe Lisa or Wayne have more information about that.
And maybe those
I
kids
think
don't do so well on Regents exam, but they're superb in cosmetology. I
Yeah.
mean, that's something too, you know?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So
You're correct.
nobody does a report card on that, you know?
I don't know, Lisa, Wayne, do
but
you
it's
have any more information on that?
Yeah.
if
Okay.
the
Maud?
student
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Lisa.
I just to follow through your example of a student taking a cosmetology course, that student would still be taking academic classes with Ellenville, and
Yeah.
that success would be tracked by our report card. And then maybe half of the day is spent in the cosmetology program at BOCES, and that's a different curriculum. I'm
Right.
sure. I'm assuming
they-
it's by the state ed department, but then if you're graduating from that program as well as doing your core work, your core academic work with your home school district.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just saying that,
That
the
if you
kids that
graduate,
are in, say, plumbing, and are really, really good students in that, but they just can't pass any of the exams in the academic exams, but it's like, are those students then failures? No, they have their own area that they've excelled in, and that's not really assessed in any kind of program,
There's an example right here. I was left back in 7th grade. I didn't take SATs, didn't take any of the regents, was almost left back in 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade. I went to BOCES for cabinet making and carpentry in Valhalla. Now I teach design and woodworking in the art department at SUNY New Paltz. I mean, it can be a really pivotal experience for someone to finally, in the public school setting, actually excel.
Yes.
And Gamma, I have attended the BOCES graduation because my grandson Jeremiah was in the class in 2019 in plumbing and electricity. And it's a big graduation class. It's a big graduation class, but they be from all different schools in Ulster County. Now he learned about plumbing because I had a problem with my sink and he fixed it, in the kitchen. So they it is a
so
plus.
they did a good job. Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm while he was fixing, I was there looking. I said, "You sure you're doing the right thing now? It ain't gonna."
I know you were.
But he did. He stopped the leak. He went and got the paws and stopped the leak.
Very good. Very good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to wrap this up. If there's anything anybody wants to say.
I think we usually give the candidates, they don't have no competition, but we usually give them like 1 minute to say what they want to say at the end.
Okay.
And something, a lot of people don't know about this school election because it haven't been publicized. When I called about our Democrat caucus, I told them about the board education election and the budget. And it's very important that we get people's out on the
He must-
18th, which is Tuesday.
He must have heard his name mentioned. They
Jeremiah,
were talking about you, Jeremiah. Okay, go ahead. Let's start with, is Wayne, are you there? Are you
I'm here.
driving?
No, my iPad is dying, so I sat in the car to charge it.
Oh, okay. One last words.
Just, I want to thank Mrs. Bruce, you for
Yeah.
moderating, and the NAACP for holding the forum. It's always great to speak about important subjects in school. So I really, unfortunately, we don't get to do it enough. But I want to thank, I want to thank the conversation. It was a great conversation, and Ellenville has a really great school board of education. We have a great group of people. We really work together to get business accomplished for our students, the community, and our staff. And I'm proud of the work we do. And I'm thankful to be part of the Board of Education. I think we do a lot of really good things. And as Ira said, it's not a thankless job. It's a thankful job. So that's it from me. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Lisa? Lisa, you have final
Yeah.
words?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you. I really appreciate that the NAACP organized this and does it every year, and glad to be here, and thank you.
Okay.
You're
And
welcome,
Iris?
Lisa. Glad to have you.
And it was
Yeah.
so nice to see Jeremiah. Don't see enough kids, I know he's not a kid anymore, but it was nice to see him.
Okay. Iris?
Well,
Final
I
words.
also appreciate that you take the time to do this every year. I particularly enjoy it because we don't get, as board members, to really talk to the public very often about our personal experiences on the board and stuff. But I did want to point out too that the new school newsletter should be in your mailbox, if not today, then tomorrow, and it covers a great deal about the budget. It covers a lot about the P-TECH, about COVID and how we're going to go forward. A lot of the questions that we covered tonight. The one thing that we didn't cover, but you'll get to see the results anyway, is we have a pretty extensive construction project that'll be going on over the next 2 or 3 years. In some ways, it's going to change the school. Well, in all ways, it should change the school for the better. So, every building is getting touched in one way or another over the next 3 years. So maybe we can have a discussion another time about that. But you'll see that going on. You don't see what goes on in the classroom so much, but you get to see what goes on when the building is being worked on. So, but again, thanks again. And I really appreciate your interest in the school board.
Okay, thank you very,
Yeah.
I know when we arranged this tonight that you probably said to yourself, what the hell are we meeting for? We're running unopposed, so what's the big whoops? But I think when we distribute it, I think we've covered a lot, and I think that the general public will get a lot of information from this session. And I so appreciate your coming, and it just means so much to show an interest that that you want to get out to the public and let them know you and appreciate you
Mhm.
and vote for you. So thank you so
And,
much. Maud,
okay,
you have final
I
words?
just want to lift up our social media person, Ed. He has been great. He has done great things for the NAACP.
Yeah.
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 He was our economic development person, but then he couldn't come to the meeting. So he finally said, I got a place now, social media. So he's done a great job, and we appreciate Ed. He's done a great job because he's in Arkansas and he's running this meeting. That's the good thing about it. And I want to
Yeah.
thank the other guests, Finn, for coming on, because Ann had told me about you. So I'm glad that you came on. And I'm glad to have Francis on. We always have Francis. He don't miss. if it's a meet the candidate night for the school board, even if he's not running, he gonna be there. So
Okay.
we just thank everybody for being on. And Wayne, stay strong for them girls.
Hey, how did they do?
Well, I had to leave because my phone, my thing here, my iPad was dying, but they were doing pretty well. They were doing pretty well.
How's your daughter doing? Has she
She
run any events
she
yet?
ran her 200 and she ran a 400 and she did well in both of them. So
Good. Good.
she's doing well. I'm thankful that the kids have this to I'm thankful for the sports. You know, our girls soccer team, which my daughter's a part of, went to the semifinals of the sectionals, and the boy
Oh,
and the boys won their section. So, you know, we've had a lot of success, and I'm thankful for that
yeah,
because it's good for the school, it's good for the kids, good for the
Now,
community.
absolutely.
one
So,
more question. Lisa, where's your daughter at? Is she in college?
My daughter is, thank you for asking. She is just finishing up her second year at Hunter, but,
Oh, okay.
but she's been all remote this year. So
Yes.
she's been at Cooney dining room table.
oh, she's in the next room, Maud.
Okay.
She's downstairs. She's actually like, she's in a class now, I think. But she's, it's been a tough year. I think she's just got word that at least one of her classes will be in person next semester.
Well,
But
yes,
Good.
but she's hanging in there. Thank you.
you're welcome. Okay.
More, do you have final anything? Anne, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I want to say, Mrs. Bruce, I love you.
I love you too, Wayne. Now he got a reason for saying that.
Oh, yeah.
I have loved Mrs. Bruce since I'm 17 years old. So here's a really quick story before we hang up. When I was filling out my college applications, I needed someone to help me. My mother was a single parent working 3 jobs. I needed someone to help me fill out the forms for financial aid. Maud Bruce came to my house, sat at my dining room table, and helped me fill them out. And I will love her for my entire life.
Ah, that's nice. That's a nice story. And on that story, Mr. Story, night, night.
Good night. Thank
Have
you.
a good night.
Good night, all.
weekend.
Thank you.
Enjoy Arkansas. And I got a sister in Arkansas.
Okay, bye-bye.